nitakuimbia, wakati ningali na pumuzi Bwana wangu nitakuimbia. Bwana wangu nitakuimbia, wakati ningali na pumuzi nitakuimbia, wakati ningali na pumuzi nitakuimbia. Bwana, Bwana wangu nitakuimbia. Bwana wangu nitakuimbia, wakati ningali na pumuzi nitakuimbia, wakati ningali na pumuzi nitakuimbia. Bwana, Bwana wangu nitakurukia. Bwana wangu nitakurukia. Bwana wangu nitakurukia, wakati ningali na pumuzi nitakurukia, wakati ningali na pumuzi nitakurukia. Bwana, haleluya kembona yawe, haleluya haleluya kembona yawe, haleluya ngaina kolemba lisusu teo kosalela yo, ngaina kolemba lisusu teo kosalela yo yawe. Haleluya kembona yawe, haleluya haleluya sifa kwa Yesu, haleluya mimi siwezi kuchoka kamwe kukuimbia, haleluya yo yawe. Ngaina kolemba lisusu teo kosalela yo, mimi siwezi kuchoka kamwe kukuimbia, mimi siwezi kuchoka kamwe kukuimbia yawe. Haleluya kembona yawe, haleluya haleluya sifa kwa Yesu, haleluya mimi siwezi kuchoka kamwe kukuimbia, mimi siwezi kuchoka kamwe kukuimbia yawe. Hi guys. Kamwe kukuimbia yawe. Hi guys. Mko aje? Mko poa? Hata mimi niko poa. I'm doing this to talk about something important. Jana, there's a post I made about my book. I think by now you now know. At least you know that by the grace of God, I've been able to put up some work together in form of a book. By the way, that was never planned. I knew all my life. I knew I'd get to that point, but I didn't know. Like I didn't plan to do the book that year that I did it. It is just that I was taking some team members through some processes of, I don't know whether to call it family upgrading, and the issues that we were addressing. After I was done, somebody just decided to tell me, why don't you just put this into a book? And by the grace of God, God sent an angel my way, and we were able to put that into a book. However, that is not important today, because I know the book is out. The book is already being sold. I have done half the number. Anybody requiring to read it, you can reach out to me directly to get your copy. But that besides the point. The reason why I'm here is because of forgive my pronunciation. Okay, now in my acknowledgements, there are people that I had acknowledged in my book because of the journeys that I walked, and because of the spaces and the roles that they played in my life growing up to the point where now I am. And one of them, one that came up as a very flagship acknowledgement was one and only pastor. And I had indicated, I know that if you're keen, if you've been following me, you will realize that a lot of times I have said that I was raised by great men of God. Apparently, I was raised by men, by the way. Now I understand. I understand why I don't fit into the lady space. Mm-hmm. Now I understand. I understand why I find it very weird to moshene. You know, yeah. So I was ideally raised by men of God, and from one to the other, all my mentors were men. But what I love most is the space, is the relationship I had with their spouses. And I think for me, that is just to appreciate their spouses, even for giving me that chance to be raised in their presence. Yes. So one of the people that I acknowledged in my book was Pastor, Mrs. and Pastor Ochi, Clement Ochi. And for those who ever knew him as a very excellent servant. By the way, if you look at me and think that I am excellent at what I do, I'm excellent at ministry, I just need you to know that you have not seen excellence by bosses. My friend, you've not seen excellence. That guy was excellent. You've never seen excellence. So he's the one who raised me, and I think he's the one who birthed the spirit of excellence in me. He's the one who birthed the spirit of kindness. If you find me a little weirdly kind, that I picked from him. He's the one who birthed that spirit of kindness in me. What else? He's the one who birthed the spirit of giving in me. He literally birthed it. Of course, there are people who birthed faith. There are people who birthed many, many other things. But when it comes to excellence and kindness, I got it from him, literally. Like, yeah. So, and I'm talking about this because everyone would be like, why are you recognizing somebody who's passed on, who is the late? Like, why? How? Why? Yeah, but looking behind, I don't know whether I should say this, but I think I need to say this for the sake of somebody who is wondering. Yeah. Let me tell you, from the onset, in my heart of hearts, I never thought or imagined I would ever get married. Like, I didn't plan to. I didn't want to. I just wanted to be this good girl, go to school well, have money, and serve God. You know, I don't know. I probably think it's because of the mirrors I was seeing about relationships and marriages, and I was seeing like they don't make sense. You know, for me, there were traps where women were trapped and they were not able to fly, and I would see images of women struggling in marriages in the name of faith. So mimi mali nilikuwa, I was meant to be this good girl who has money and serves God. Until I met him and openly saw his relationship with his wife. And somehow, I think God used him to begin to change my perspective of marriage. So actually, God used him to give me a different script to read from. Yeah. So when I met him, and he happened to be, initially he wasn't the senior pastor of our church, but he came in as a support pastor, and then later on he became the senior pastor. And I used to see his relationship with his wife, his relationship with his kids. By the end, I think I need also to say that he must have been the one who birthed the nurturing spirit in me, you know. Yeah, and so God used him just to show me a different reflection of life, a different script to read from. Having seen him, having met him, having walked with him, having worked with him, his boundaries were very clear. You know, it was not easy for you to overstep his boundaries. His boundaries were very, very clear. And so when I met him, I just began to imagine, oh, okay, so this thing can actually work. So for a long time, for the first time, I started praying for people's marriages, for people who were getting married. And I was like, yeah, God, you can do this to them, to that, to, But still in my heart, I never thought this is something I can also partake of. Of course, that is story for another day, how I landed here now that I am. Another day. In fact, there's a day I was making fun with somebody. There's a day I was making fun with another sister friend of mine that me there are things you cannot stress me with. Ati nitakuacha, haki ya Mungu. I have figured out life without a man. So, yeah. But I thank God I'm in it and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So there are things you cannot pull at me. Ati nitakuacha. Ati, maybe you can try me with money. That you can gamble. I can go into prayer and fasting. But kuna vitu zingine, temptations zingine ukinijaribu nazo, haki ya Mungu, you will fall flat foot. You can't. So yes, so having seen how he did life and how he was able to balance ministry, business, and family, came out so naturally and so alive to me. By the way, and let me just add, he's also the one who birthed the spirit of money making in me. Yeah, I wouldn't say he birthed, but let me say he allowed it to blossom. Because the spirit of money making, I would say it's my mom who birthed it. But now, the sales spirit, the spirit to go out of your way to do business, he is the one who caused it to blossom. And for the first time, I realized that actually you can actually be a pastor and still have money. For a long time, I was used to seeing men of God who were always begging church members to have their kids go to school, to pay their rent, to settle their personal bills. And it is until I met him that I learned you can actually serve God and still have money. Hey, boss. By the way, he bought so many things. Hey, I didn't know that he did so much, but it's now that I'm talking about it that I'm learning. He is also the one. He is also the one who birthed events management. Now, so you know that I was raised by a very great man, by the way. He's actually the one who birthed event management. And I remember there's a time he did an event for a fashion. There was a fashion event that he did, a fashion show. And guys were like, hey, how is a pastor doing a fashion show? For the first time we were hearing that is done by a servant of God. And guys were up in arms, like, how is Percy doing? And for us, it was very easy to believe him because he was so authentic. Like, he was so clean. He was so clear. Of the things that he did, his things were very, very kama hiki tu. So, and that reminds me, that takes me back, because I remember the first time I ever took my daughter to go and contest for a pageantry. Everybody was like, Mami anataka, whether they call me Mami, so mi najua mnanitanga Nyako Martin, but ni sawa, iko watu wananitanga mam. So yeah, Mami anapeleka mtoto wa mchungaji aende atembee watu wamuone. Like, guys were like, hey, this is not salvation. But in my heart of hearts, I was like, yeah, the man who raised me did it, and I saw Christ in it. So he's actually the same one who birthed that in me. And I'm thankful. By the way, I wish he was alive so he could see this come to life. Because there are things we might do in our lives thinking that we are doing it for the sake of it, not knowing that there are people we are inspiring, and even without their consent, without their conscience, they are learning this and they are picking it up, and they're just making it I think if he was alive today, he would be amazed. I think he would be proud. He would be proud of me. He would be proud of the things that I've been able to do, and of the things that I was able to just learn from him and carry them out. Sometimes when I look at his life and I look at how he lived in his home, in his house, this is somebody you would visit in the morning and unajua yule mtu ulikuwa umemwona amevaa suti amevaa hivyo, there's that ideal wife that you want to see, that's ideal pastor's wife that you want to see, and the way you see them in church, and then you expect that now when you come to the house they're in deras, and my friend, for those of you who've accused me of acha niwachie hapo. So I was raised by a complete human being. So you'd get to the house and expect your mama pastor to be in a dera with a headscarf and something, and you would get there and ask yourself, ni yeye alikuwa na tuanga injili kama jana, unapologetically. You would look at her and she would be like a woman, even if you are a man, you would want to have for a wife, And so that was the kind of person that I grew up seeing. That's the kind of person that I grew up watching. And so that's why I get weird. I get stressed up. I lack words when I see men talk down on their wives. I get shocked. Inanishtua. Those conversations I can't even have. Like, I am shocked. So that is one of the persons that I have acknowledged in that book. And I'm just learning that this is the beginning of my writing, probably. And there's quite so much that I would be able to write. And his inspiration came to me as an afterthought. I think because we had lost him, and ni kama tulikuwa tunamsahau. It's been a long time. It's over 10 years. Like, we lost him even before I got married. And it was really sad for me that now when I was getting married, he was not there to witness it. Yet he saw it before anyone else. And I remember him telling me, my daughter, anybody thinking that they can have your hand in marriage should first wait for you to be done with campus. Was nasi, wacha niringe kidogo. Na imagine baba yenu alikuwa naongeleshwa. Msikie vibaya sasa na huko. Yeah. And it was like, your future is so bright. We cannot afford to cut it short. Your future is so bright, we can't afford to cut it short. And this is a man who would send me to go and talk to couples who probably had broken up and needed counseling. I was a teenager. I was 19. For God's sake, I was 19. And at the age of 19, somebody would send me to go and bring people who had issues in the family together to listen to their sides and help them out. And one day when my mom heard that I had gone, unajua vile wamama wanaongenga stories zao wakikuwa huko sokoni. So my mother, in one of those sokoni events, hears a woman say, "Oh, when ndio mama Celine ati what?